I take a lot of people to France. I take thousands of people to France every year on our tours. And my challenge when I was doing the tour guiding was to prepare people in Switzerland so they'd come into France and be received well. And I know from my experience, French are proud people. French are very proud. Their language was the lingua franca. I mean, look at your passport. There's 2 languages on it, French and English. There was a time when the Tsar in Russia spoke better French than English and was proud of it. And France has lost 2 world wars, and today they're a second-rate power compared to the days when they were really on top. And they're not, I don't think losing gracefully is one of their fortes. So a lot of Americans think the French just, are mean-spirited or don't like it or something. Well, they're not a smiley-face culture. They're more into genuineness. They belittle us for our smiley faces and bank tellers that are fined if they don't wish everybody to have a happy day and this kind of thing. Shopping cart baskets that say smile and be a winner. That just bugs French people. But when you go to France, you don't need to embrace their values, but if you can just respect their values and be curious about them and not try to tell them how to do things, they're really wonderful people to visit with. We have a great time visiting France as anywhere. I was recently filming in a little mom-and-pop chateau in Burgundy, the most traditionally French part of France, I think. And when I'm filming, get out of the way, the sun's going down, I need to get up on the rooftop to get a nice wide shot of the turrets. And the mom-and-pop aristocratic couple that had owned this, from the family that had owned this castle for generations and generations, says, "We have an American film crew, we must have a little party." I didn't want a party, I want to film. "No, we got to have a party." "All right." So bring out the nice wine and the cheese and the bread, and then all of a sudden they surprised me with this incredible 48-star American flag. They brought it out like it was a religious relic. And they said, "We hoisted this over our village on that great day in 1944 when our village was liberated from Nazi tyranny by America. And we want you to go home and tell your friends and neighbors that we will forever be thankful for the valor and the heroism and the compassion of America in the darkest times in Europe." So please don't let people tell you they don't remember that. I could give a whole talk about anecdotal examples of how my friends in Europe are forever thankful for that. But 70 years later, it doesn't mean they need to follow us into all of our wars in lockstep. If you think that's the quid pro quo, that's where we part ways with Europe, you see. They're proud people, they've suffered in wars, and they believe all other options should be exhausted first, naive as they might be. I noticed when I was in Europe recently that when the Gulf War was going on, the one country that really supported the Gulf War, the preemptive attack, was Poland. Because leading up to World War II, Poland called for a preemptive attack of the Saddam Hussein of that generation, Hitler, and nobody listened to them. And then Hitler went crazy and Poland really suffered. So Poland was more likely to recognize if there's a tyrant, you do whatever you can to get rid of him early. So that was an interesting sort of historical reason Poles would be more into that. But when we travel, we have to deal with this sort of reality. When we travel, we do have the specter of terrorism, and I've been at this for 30 years now, and there's always been terrorism. There always will be terrorism, and Americans are always going to be targeted. It's kind of silly to target, the Dutch. If you're a terrorist, you target the big guy. And I don't want to belittle it, and I don't want to make light of it, but I do want to belittle and make light of otherwise well-educated and sophisticated Americans' ability to get a grip when it comes to understanding the risk. It's a minuscule risk. I'm not talking about some major attack on our homeland. That's a serious issue that I'd be as conservative as anybody on. I'm talking about, are you safe to go to Turkey, or Israel, or Morocco, or Estonia, Portugal, Ireland? Some people would say no, because there's terrorism. I'd say yes, you're safe. Tomorrow, if an American is beheaded by a jihadist in Madrid, is it safe for you to go to Spain? The answer is yes. 12 million Americans go to Europe every year. None are hurt. 12 million come back. Year after year. When was the last time an American was hurt by a terrorist in Europe? Every year in our society, 13,000 people are killed by handguns. That's real. Every year, more than 1,000 people a month killed by handguns. In Europe, they choose not to have handguns, and they lose, 1/8 of the people to violence that we do on the streets. Europeans laugh out loud when they hear that Americans are staying home for safety reasons. If you care about your loved ones, you will take them to Europe tomorrow. This is how I sell tours. So, I mean, I just really believe that if you overreact to terrorism, you're playing into their hands. I mean, think of what a magnificent success 9/11 was from a terrorist point of view. We changed our whole country. We've bankrupted our whole country. We've gone against our values. We lost 2,800 people. Yeah, it's tough, but we're not the first country to lose a couple thousand people, you know. Happens all the time. Honduras lost that many people in a mudslide, and it was hardly headlines. And they only have 5 million or 3 million or something like that. So it's just important to be out there and realize what the other 96% of humanity are thinking when they look at us. You don't have to agree with them. They could be wrong, but it's healthy and I think smart to do that. And if you hate terrorism as much as I do, I think you got to realize the most effective thing we can do as Americans is to travel a lot. Learn about the world and come home and help our country fit better into this ever smaller planet. It's a beautiful place. And it's valuable for us to go over there and humanize our country because we're so likable when people meet us one-on-one.